Yo, I want to talk about why being high vibe is actually really hard. And I think this is cool because a lot of people really like to attribute high vibe to being some like very spiritual but very airy fairy thing. Very light-hearted, very go with the flow. I think that is a misattribution because a lot of people that it doesn't really take in the into consideration the shadow, the dark side of humanity, um, and really, it doesn't really take in the actually grounded reality of there being conflict in the human experience, of there being a necessity to outgrow things, to outgrow um, the previous version of yourself, or outgrow old systems. So being high vibe to me, I'll define it as being someone who can be themselves. Um, yeah, period. Who can be themselves. In terms of spiritual terminology, I would say that it's somebody that allows for their soul to come in through them, to come in and express themselves authentically, to express their truth, to move from source, to move from this real place. And from a very practical or very layman's terms, I would say it just means to be real as fuck. To be real as fuck. Um, so why am I saying that as my definition? Well, high vibe is saying kind of like tuning into like high vibrations, high frequency. So you're channeling higher vibrations, and so you're speaking from a higher place. You're speaking from a place of authority, from a place of authenticity, from a place that is also of service to those around you. Now, when we're talking about being high vibe, that means that requires that you have to speak your truth, and that means that you have to piss some people off. That also means that you have to let go of old ways of thinking or old ways of being. So being high vibe, it's not a place that is so fixed. People want to label it as in like it's this level. I'm here, bro. I'm here. Um, it has more to do with being true to yourself and being present. Really, being present and speaking your truth, regardless of the circumstance. Because there are going to be some times, no matter how high vibe you are, that you're gonna get pissed off, that you're gonna be uncomfortable, and that doesn't mean that because you have to tune into this label, you have to keep this label of being high vibe, that you're not going to speak your truth. That's the problem here, and that's I think the main clarifying point that I want to discuss. Being high vibe is hard because you are human, and and then you're gonna fall under this deception that being high vibe also means to being chill all the time. Okay, so that's a misconception. Now, let's get to where this can come of utility and maybe something that can help bring all this together. So, being high vibe to me is a process. And to me, also, being high vibe means being on the edge of our evolution. So, that means that you are not looking at the past, nor are you worried about the future. You are focused on the here and now, on what is being born right now, and so you are willing to let go and release all other things, all other ideas. Doesn't matter if, for example, me, I find something that's worked and that's helped me. I have to be willing to let that go in within a second that I realize that that's not gonna be related to my highest evolution. And I think the greatest example that I can find that I've been seeing in my life right now are relationships and friendships. Right now, I find myself making a lot of my people uncomfortable, like the previous people that I was cool with. Um, I'm making them uncomfortable because I'm not taking any more half-hearted relationships. It's not about half-hearted relationships anymore for me. It's about being fully yourself. And to do that, that means that in relationship, you have to be able to bring your fullest self, and that includes maybe some things that people won't be comfortable with. For me, like my fullest self, he loves to be super happy. He loves to bring joy to people's life. He speaks his mind. He says what he thinks, but he also looks at people from a place of wanting to understand them. So he doesn't come forward. He speaks his truth, but he doesn't try to impose his truth. What he seeks to do is create an environment that allows for others to come in and also speak their truth. And so what I respect is truth over being right, right? And there's a difference, right? Because I think that my truth is different than your truth. And I think that that also doesn't that allows for, it doesn't matter whether we're right or wrong. It's at the end of the day, are we willing to understand each other? Are we willing to understand each other's truth? Because at the end of the day, there's only one truth, right? And my truth is only relative. There's one absolute truth, which is that we are all connected and that we are all part of source. So if you have your truth, I have my truth, and that means that our truth can combine and bring a bigger picture and get us closer to the true reality, to the one truth. So this comes kind of from an understanding of the Kabbalion, absolute versus relative truth. I'm very strong in my relative truth, but that does not mean, right, that I take my relative truth as absolute. And I think a lot of people have trouble understanding that. Um, but yes, with that being said, now a lot of people struggle with relationships. So what I've noticed is that being high vibe has required me to make other people uncomfortable. It's required me to put myself in a situation where I am uncomfortable, where I have to speak my truth, where I have to really fall into my inner authority, and also be uncomfortable where maybe I am wrong, right? But I'm willing to be wrong because I'm willing to speak my truth, and that's the thing. Like, being high vibe means you're willing to be wrong, and you're willing to express yourself, regardless of that fear of being wrong or maybe making other people uncomfortable. Because for me, what I've realized is that it's just synchronistically, I've been meeting new people in the past few weeks, connecting with old people, like older people too, and finding a new spark. And that's been due to me finding myself and me connecting to myself. So because I speak, I bring something forward differently. And I was reading right now on some esoteric texts on the power of our speech. But our speech brings forth our soul. It incarnates our soul in this world. It was talking about how the vowel is what allows for the soul to come in. The vowels, right? The consonants are the more material things that are always seeking the vowel. Um, so in me speaking my truth and me embodying my truth and speaking it, that is within itself a manifestation of my divine being in this world. So when I do that, then the more I am willing to do that, the more it will put off the people who are not able to do that or willing to do that. And the more I'll bring in the people who are willing to do that. Doesn't matter whether they know what is going on or not. It's about how tuned in they are and how they're able to resonate with that. And that's what I'm realizing too. A lot of people put labels of being spiritual on themselves, but then they don't act when it really comes down to it. At a practical level, at a real level, at an authentic level. Like, they don't act the way that it's true to them in terms of authenticity, really. And authenticity to me is the key here. Okay? So being high vibe is not what people think. Being high vibe is actually a lot harder. And being high vibe, though, once you get it, once you understand it, will be a lot easier, right? There's that hump, that lump that you gotta like get over, right? Of shit, I'm actually gonna accept this reality. I'm not gonna take anything less than this. I can't. I don't want to. I can't live in a world like this anymore. So you transcend that world, and you begin to attract new people. So that's people. It's really the people, but at the same time, um, I think a lot of the time people do think of high vibe in terms of relation to others also. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know down below. Mr. Boy Lucid, you already know. Stay lucid. Peace.